Iran. Ali, what did you make of their display and the way it unfolded?
Underwhelming and frustrating at times, but when you have Iran and literally and physically have all 11 players behind the ball and really all in and around the 18-yard box, it's just difficult to find spaces. The problem with Spain is that they have one way to play and one way to play only. And so in moments where perhaps you could have had a little bit more variety, maybe putting balls into the box, maybe adding a second striker, it's not what Spain does naturally. They're just going to pass you to death and hopefully something breaks through. It did break through in a knee bash goal by Diego Costa, and they'll take the 3 points and move on to the last game. But they'll have to improve, and I think they know that very well.
Nothing that Spain didn't expect from this encounter against Iran, facing 11 behind the ball.
No, and I think it's a real difficult game to judge the Spanish because, as Ali mentioned, I mean, they were so deep. And, OK, you can resort to sticking 6 or 7 balls in the box as quickly as possible. It comes out, you get it wide, you put it back in. But it's kind of not what they do, and they were trying to prod and find those little gaps. They weren't really there. Lucas Vazquez played, he's pacey, but there was no space to run into. Even David Silva found it difficult to find those little balls. So credit to Iran. I mean, as a spectacle, it didn't do much, particularly for the first hour, but at the end of the day, the Iranians were trying to drag out a draw, but it didn't quite work for them.
It reminded me a little bit of the group game against Argentina 4 years ago. Similar thing. Messi won it at the end for Argentina. This time it was Diego Costa.
Yeah, I think Ali's right. At some point they had to play the ball into the box because Diego Costa is decent in the air. I know he was outnumbered, but they didn't get players in and around the knockdown. Every time they did get the ball into dangerous areas, there was a scramble, they may have scored, and Iran got some good blocks in. But all the time they were passing round the front and going wide and then going back round the front again. Iran were happy with that. The worrying thing for Spain was when they did score and Iran started to come out and play, they did create 1 or 2 chances.
Yeah.
You know, it was a great header, or should have been a great header near the end of the game.
Yeah, Iran had the ball in the back of the net, didn't they? It was rightly ruled offside by the assistant referee rather than VAR. Another great chance from a header near the end.
Yeah, there were nervous moments for Spain when Iran was not interested in attacking. And yet, even without being interested in attacking, they still created some opportunities. I just thought that individually, there are a couple of performances that you can highlight from Spain. I thought Isco was very good. I thought Diego Costa is always a presence in that 18-yard box. And if you use him in a way in which you can take advantage of his abilities, he's going to score goals for you. But other than that, you start looking around and you're thinking, it could be better from Lucas Vazquez. He could be better from Andres Iniesta. You didn't really see Carvajal being a presence in the attack because there was no space to attack into. Jordi Alba, that you see him appearing late when he plays with Barcelona, he didn't quite have that space to go into. And so it limits the possibilities for Spain. It's going to be similar against Morocco. Even though Morocco is now out of the tournament, maybe they try to go into this game with a different approach, and then maybe that allows Spain some space to play and the opportunity to really showcase who they are.
Having had 2 looks at them now, Craig, is Spain looking like likely winners of this tournament?
Well, no. Sorry?
No, I mean, seriously.
I mean, as I say, you can't really judge them on that game in particular. I mean, the first game was tremendous. The first game against Portugal. I mean, I'm okay, they gave up three goals, but it was just a great game. I mean, Germany might pep up in the coming days and sort themselves out. Brazil had an off day against Switzerland with Neymar flicks and tricks. There's so much water to go under the bridge. Barring a disaster, they are going to be there. You'll see the better Spain against the better teams because the game will open up. We still don't know what Hierro's best team is. There's probably maybe 2 places where it might be up for grabs. You know, Carvajal's come in for Nacho, that was expected. Will Iniesta play deeper against the better teams, or will he play further forward? Will Koke come in, or will it be Thiago comes in? Will Asensio play a part if Iniesta plays a bit deeper? So I think there's a couple of positions that are up for grabs in the Spanish team. I think they played that way today because of the opposition. Move on to the next game, get a result against Morocco. Then I think we'll start to see the best of Spain.
I think there's a slight worry about when they play the better teams being caught on the counter-attack. That midfield at the moment lacks energy. You know, Iniesta, Craig was talking about him playing in a deep position. Koke played the last game and they were still counter-attacked by Portugal quite well. Busquets, I don't think, you know, he's never been a pacey player, but he's not able to get round the pitch quite as much as he used to be able to. And they've been counter-attacked too easily. Isco is playing as the sort of forward midfield player, but he doesn't really want to recover. He wants to go out into wide areas. He wants to go and join with Diego Costa. So that would be my big worry for Spain.
Yeah, I'm sure you're well aware you have to go back to 1974 for the last time Argentina failed to win their first 2 group games at a World Cup. What's your sense of the dynamics surrounding Argentina right now?
Well, obviously, there's a tremendous amount of pressure on the side on Lionel Messi, but I think most of all on the manager Jorge Sampaoli. There's been suggestions that there's a group of veterans in the team that are kind of dictating the side. He's certainly pushed back against that. I think what's obvious is he needs to come up with something in double quick time. That said, and I appreciate I might be in the absolute minority here, I think there's a bit of Chicken Little sky is falling stuff going on here. I didn't think they were that bad against Iceland. They created tons of chances, and even if that penalty had gone in or if they'd converted one of the many chances that they had, you're looking at a 2-1 win, 3 points in the bag, nerves settled, and you're taking on a Croatia side that, while they came out with a start, obviously there's been a lot of turmoil in the Croatian camp, Nikola Kalinic going home as well, so we'd all feel a little better about it. But clearly I think this is the turning point game in Argentina's group.
Ali, you think there was an overreaction to that draw against Iceland? Maradona came out and called it a disgrace, didn't he?
Well,
don't know if anyone was listening.
It's hard to take Maradona seriously every time he speaks, but look, and I love me some Maradona, by the way.
Yeah.
Can I just say that when you think of, yes, Argentina created chances. Yes, there's a missed penalty. Yes, there were opportunities for Argentina to win the game. So did Iceland. Bjarnason had a chance early on in the game. Any time that Iceland decided to go on the counter, they created problems for Argentina. And that's the real concern for me, is that Croatia has more talented players than Iceland does. And if Croatia is able to control the midfield with the better players that they have individually between Rakitic and Modric against Mascherano and Biglia, I like Croatia in that middle of the midfield. So then you just have to turn a blind eye to all of that and just say, you know what? Lionel Messi is going to resolve it for us. And if that's the approach that Argentina is going to take, then it's difficult to see them advancing in this tournament. Now, having said all of that, if Lionel Messi has a tremendous game and then the other players alongside him in the attack are able to create and finish opportunities as well, then yes, Argentina wins this match.
Modric and Rakitic, the key in here for Croatia. Anyway, they're a super talented team. I saw them in the playoffs. They easily beat Greece over the two games. Greece were pretty poor, I have to say. But Modric just controls it. And if Argentina don't get to him and they have enough possession, he can control the game. If he can control the game, it means they can get the full-backs forward. That's what they like to do, Croatia. When they get the full-backs forward, they look to whip the ball in early, and obviously it's spearheaded by Mario Mandzukic. So this is a very good side. Would it be a huge shock if Argentina were not to win this game? No, it wouldn't.
It's a very different sort of test for Argentina, this game, isn't it?
It is.
As opposed to the Iceland one.
Yeah, and when they played against Iceland, it was the wide players that I thought were disappointing. Meza made a couple of good diagonal runs, but when he was in possession, couldn't go past anyone to get crosses in. Di Maria, and I think, Ali, you called him one of the most stupid players that you...
one of the dumbest players.
Yes. Dumbest players.
Yes.
He made the wrong decision time and time again. And then you've got two holding midfield players, Mascherano and Biglia, that aren't... And they're not going to pick out passes going forward. They're going to play square, they're going to keep possession, but they're not going to be that creative when they're playing the ball into Aguero and switching the play. So that's the problem. They need more creativity. And if they don't defend balls into their box...
Uruguay booking their spot in the round of 16 with another narrow win, another 1-0 win. But again, it was one of their main men. It was Luis Suarez.
But differently than Spain, where you expect Spain to play a certain way, Uruguay, people may say, well, it was a disappointing performance. This is what Uruguay is. This is what they do. Now, you expect it to be better against Saudi Arabia because of what we saw from Saudi Arabia against Russia. Comparatively speaking, you thought, okay, well, Uruguay has a lot more talented players than Luis Suarez and Edinson Cavani. But this is how they win games, and they're not shameful about it. They don't apologize for it. We're going to win games 1-0. We're going to defend well, and we know that when we play Russia, it'll be the same thing. We'll keep it tight. We'll be organized. We have Godin back there. We have Jimenez back there, and then up top we have guys that can make a difference.
We talked about Sweden being a basic 4-4-2.
Yeah.
Uruguay exactly the same. The only movement they had in the game today when they had good possession was Rodriguez came in off the touchline and made little diagonal runs. Cavani might drift out into a wide area, and Caceres, the fullback, started to get forward. Everything else was in straight lines. It was predictable, and it's going to be a real struggle for them to create opportunities through general play. That's why they scored from the set play.
4-4-2 with better players.
Yeah, with better players. You've got a front two that can combine, but they couldn't get the balls into them with great regularity.
And I mean, that was clear to see. It was almost like, right, Cavani and Suarez, come on, link up, sort it out. We'll get a bit of support up to you now and again. As Robbo mentioned, Caceres would like to get forward, but not all the time. But he's big and strong. But you've got Vicini and Betancourt, who just sit in front of Godin and Jimenez. Every now and again they'll go and join in if it's there to be joined in. But basically they're there to protect that back four, and they're hoping on the two front guys to...
France, of course, leading the group with Denmark. Those were the two opening day victors. Peru and Australia trying to make up the ground. It'll be Peru against France tomorrow. Gab, what's your thoughts? Because in many ways it was the opposite experiences for these two on opening day. Peru played well, didn't get the result against Denmark. France didn't play so well, but did get the result against Australia.
Yeah, look, I think from the French perspective, if you're looking at this, you could look at it and say, well, look, we played a defensive team and won. Now we're going to play an attacking team that we're expected to go out and beat, and we'll see how we do there. And won't that be a great way to warm up? Because we often start slowly in tournaments. Now the question is, there's no question that they're starting slowly. There's no question they're not firing on all cylinders. There's no question that Didier Deschamps is getting second guess and perhaps second guessing himself. But you know what? Underestimate Peru at your peril, because France don't often play teams that go out and attack the way they do. It might mean that they leave themselves exposed at the back and give France opportunities. But it's going to need to be something that they have to adjust to pretty quickly. And for a team that's still unbalanced, doesn't quite have the chemistry right just yet, I don't know. I'd rather not be playing Peru.
And those 40,000 Peruvian fans, by the way, who'll be...
well, they won't be on the field. They won't be on... No, they will not. Peru is...
Really?
No, they're not. Peru is a talented team, a talented group, and now they have the presence of Paolo Guerrero up top. See, I don't know for the life of me why he doesn't start the first game. Because when he came onto the game, what it does is that it gives you a guy, he's going to hold the ball up, and then you have all those playmakers in behind. You have Carrillo, you have Reina, you have guys that can come from behind and able to run past Paulo Guerrero. But they have to finish their chances. They had a penalty kick miss. There are opportunities for them. As for France, we continue to expect them to be this great team. We have to see it on a game that counts, on a game that matters.
I don't care what team you are, Adrian. If you're playing a team that's coming out of South American qualification, CONMEBOL, you're going to get a game, right? You're in for a game, and I think Didier Deschamps knows this. They can consider themselves unlucky against Denmark and away Peru, but I tell you what, unless they absolutely batter them, then the French media will be out saying this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know his best team, and he's a man under pressure.
Peru's last win against a European team at a World Cup?
Don't know.
Scotland. 1978.
Could be a
layup.
1978.
Layup.
Somebody just told you.
A little bit of news away from the World Cup in Russia, Gab, and most of it surrounding Barcelona. First of all, what can you tell us about Atletico perhaps pursuing some sanctions against Barcelona for their Antoine Griezmann approach?
Yeah, so this is something that Atleti's chief executive, Miguel Angel Gil Marin, came out speaking to a radio station, talking about how, they have all this dirt on how Barcelona illegally approached Griezmann. Griezmann, of course, having this release clause. And he says, well, we could go and we could file a complaint against them. We could go and prosecute them. And honestly, Adrian, I think this is all just bluster. I mean, first of all, in the real world, if somebody has a release clause in their contract, it's because he's open to the idea of other teams coming in and basically paying that release clause and signing him. So, these types of, what do you call it, tapping up illegal approaches, this type of stuff happens all the time. So it's really, really difficult to prosecute. It's really difficult to enforce. Obviously, on the one hand, they're annoyed that it happened. On the other hand, they're psyched because Griezmann, of course, decided to stay, and I think they're slightly rubbing Barcelona's faces in it, and maybe reminding the whole world that, hey, look, Griezmann ultimately decided to stay here at Atleti rather than joining you guys at the Camp Nou.
And more repercussions from that Griezmann decision, Gab. Apparently Barcelona unhappy with Gerard Piqué, his production company responsible for producing a documentary about Griezmann, and also Samuel Umtiti weighing in with some social media promotion. What's this all about?
Well, again, Gerard Piqué is he's an entrepreneur. he represents different people, and the documentary, of course, was this documentary where Griezmann came out and said he was going to stay at Atleti, and again, it's been reported in Spain that Barcelona are unhappy that he was involved in it. I don't know. I'm here in Russia. I haven't reported on it. I don't know if they actually are unhappy. I think this is people putting two and two together and trying to fill pages. They know that Gerard Piqué has a production company. He's got a PR company too. He's involved in, he's got his finger in many pots. And frankly, this has nothing to do with football. It's what the guy does in his business life. So I don't think there's any reason for them to be annoyed.
Just a documentary about a guy that makes a transfer to a club that doesn't actually happen.
Right.
That was not a very interesting documentary. It was in the pipeline, if you have.
Not going to sell well, is it?
And even if he did make the transfer, I don't think the documentary about him making the transfer was particularly interesting anyway. But I don't know.
Do you have a problem with it though? A player from one club making a documentary about a player from another club who may be joining him and becoming a teammate?
No. Let's not kid ourselves. It's not like Gerard Piqué is out there with a camera and setting up the lighting and everything and all these other things and cutting out the video and editing the video.
He did that?
No, I don't think.
No, could you do that again?
Yes. No. Hey, let's do it again. Guys.
With a different answer this time.
Yeah. No, that's. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, maybe he's involved with this company. It's his company. He's involved with it in name, but I don't think that he's out there physically.
ESPN FC extra time. A day of 1-0 at the World Cup.
Hey,
Still hasn't been a 0-0, by the way.
Jinx.
If you're keeping count. 20,
Obviously
20
you
games
are.
in. Yeah, well, I am. I have it written down.
Okay.
20
You're
games,
the stat man, aren't you?
20 games since without a 0-0. First time since 1954.
See, you're the stat man.
What else have you got written down there? There seems to be a lot of material.
Bag of potatoes.
Spain are
2
only in
loaves
the
of
last
bread.
21. Yeah.
2 litres of milk.
Yeah.
And that notepad
16
seems to
per
have
road.
had better days, by the
What's
way.
that?
35 cans of beer.
Yes. Well, this must be your notepad.
sorry.
Your
Oh, I'm
notepad.
sorry, yeah.
But we will get to you and your notepad, Craig, in our second question. First of all, Boyan
What notepad?
wants to dig into the real weighty matters of the day. What did you think about Ronaldo's goatee? Question mark.
Goatee?
His goatee? His little facial
I've got to
growth.
say, I never really noticed his goatee. All I noticed is him scoring a goal when he won a bit.
Apparently it was all the rage on social media. I know you don't partake in social media at the moment.
I'm off it.
Yeah,
I'm not.
rightly so.
How long is that going to last, by the way?
Well, I haven't opened it. You know how you have to press the app?
Yeah.
I haven't pressed the app for a week.
You haven't mentioned that at all.
I haven't
this week, have
tweeted for.
Are you missing it?
No.
You're not missing it at all.
You seem to go on these runs, right? Of the diet, the exercise, now Twitter.
You're a changed man. You're a
Well,
changed
I'm not on
man.
a diet.
It's a
The exercise is constant.
it's a streamlined lifestyle.
Oh, okay.
Diet, exercise.
One you took up
And
about
no
3
Twitter.
years ago.
And no Twitter.
One you took up about 3 or 4 years ago.
I did.
Yeah.
Thanks to some inspiration from you.
Yeah.
So-
I don't know what I did, but Lisbon.
Wait a minute.
Lisbon Champions League final.
A svelte-looking Mr. Robson in the
Saw me in the gym and he said, I want to be like that man there.
Oh.
Yeah, set my sights high.
Yeah.
I did.
Did
Still
you-
climbing.
Did
still
he
climbing
judge
there.
you? Did he judge you? Right? He said, Adrian, you got.
Adrian, you need to lose some pounds.
Come on.
Lose some tonnage.
Still trying.
Any questions?
Did we answer that about Ronaldo's goatee?
Oh, I didn't notice
didn't
that.
we?
Did you notice it?
No, I didn't notice it.
Apparently, it was to do with
I'm
something
not sure
that
he had a
Messi
goatee.
did. Some
Oh,
response.
not.
No.
Apparently, I'm just
Not having
reporting what I
that.
heard.
Not having that.
Didn't see his beard.
No. All right. There you have it.
Not having that.
Saad says, can we get an I was wrong notepad flip? Presumably in reference to what Sebi Salazar did the other day. He wants one for Craig for suggesting that the group stages would be just these big teams destroying the so-called weaker teams with huge scorelines.
No, I didn't say that.
I don't.
Is the sun in your eyes?
What's going on? What's happening?
It's a very distant prediction.
We have a monitor over here, and I was trying to look at it, and I figured that without my
Try those. That might help. He's just poked himself in the eye.
I said we'll probably have the same teams come the last 8. I didn't say
Right.
they would be getting smashed.
No.
Who's any big upsets so far?
Germany.
Well, I've got Mexico to come out the group,
Yeah.
so not like
Germany to win the World Cup.
Well, that might still happen.
Well, what was the bigger? Was it a bigger upset Japan beating Colombia than Mexico beating Germany?
The difference between Japan beating Colombia is that Colombia had a man sent off after 4 minutes. So once that happened, you expect Japan to win the game.
As a result that was unexpected. Was that more unexpected? For me, it was. I
mean, Iran beat Morocco, but then Morocco are not one of the giants. Have not been to a World Cup in 20 years. So I suppose Mexico has been the big, unless my memory's not great, has been the upset scoreline, but Mexico. But I do have Mexico to come out of the group, so they're not exactly what you would call a whipping boy.
Japan, yeah.
How's it looking to you, Ali? From the
let me see.
From the view from afar.
Where should I go? Yeah. That's a good look for you.
Yeah.
So the I was wrong flip pad is staying.
I think he's not going to get that out.
No.
Ever. Well, I was wrong flip pad.
No, I think that'll be.
I do admit I'm wrong when I'm wrong.
Right.
But I'm not
and you don't
wrong.
need a flip pad to do so.
Well, I'm not.
But there's never been an occasion.
Well, I'm not wrong.
Right.
There's been lots of occasions, Stuart.
John wants to know how far can Uruguay go in the tournament playing this style.
This is the way they play. I don't understand what people want from Uruguay. This is who they've been. This is how they qualify at a Commonwealth. This is the way that they have played historically. It's a team that is always physical, always difficult to beat, and has enough talent in the attacking half to win games 1-0.
Got to the semi-final.
Yeah.
2010.
I think they can get to the quarterfinals, not much beyond that. They've got the same coach. He's going to have the same tactics and the same personnel for much of it.
Gab Marcotti is with us. Gab, do you agree? Or is there anything different about this Uruguay team? The one in 2010, of course, dazzled us with a bit of an unexpected run to the semi-finals, perhaps.
You know, I think there could be. I'm a big fan of Lucas Torreira, and I think Bentancur gives them something different, a little bit more of that dynamism that perhaps was missing in recent years. You know, to go with the tough guys at the back and the big boys up front. But the question is, you know, Oscar Washington Tavares he's an institution there, right? He's been there forever. He does things his way. Is he going to have? Is he going to be willing to go and kind of release the shackles, free them up a little bit, especially Torreira, and see what, if anything, he can do? I'm not so sure, but what I do know is you've got two strikers who can score pretty much at any time. So, and a defense that keeps people out. So that's normally a pretty good formula.
Hey, Gab, never mind that. Never mind all that nonsense. Is the cuisine in Russia to your liking? Because there's no other way of putting it. You're very fussy. Very fussy.
You know what? I enjoyed a lovely dinner this evening while watching the Spain game with our friend Ralph Honigstein and our big boss Chuck Simmons. So far so good.
You spilt some down your shirt, Gab.
Yes, you can see it from there, Stuart.
We can.
That sounds like a lovely evening, Gab. I'm sorry I couldn't be there.
I'll take a rain check.
And actually, on that sort of vague subject, Gab, Sam wants to know, are you missing Italy at the moment? And perhaps Italian cuisine can be thrown into that. And actually, the second part of that question, how has VAR done so far? But let's concentrate on the Italy part.
You know what? It's weird. Obviously, it hurts when you're pretty much used to going to a World Cup and then it doesn't happen. But I kind of enjoying this. You know, there's less of sort of the rooting interest psychodrama that goes along with having your team in the World Cup if they're a team that's generally always expected to compete to some degree. And I think you pick up on a lot of other things. And yeah, I've had a great time so far.
And VAR, what's your take on how VAR is done thus far?
I think VAR has surpassed my expectations until this point. We knew there were going to be issues, and look, if you have I've said this before, but if you have a philosophical objection to VAR, that's fine. You have a philosophical objection, and we'll never agree on this point. But to go and be like, oh look, VAR is a shambles because Kane didn't get a penalty, the way I heard some numpties talk. You know what? There will still be mistakes. That's not the point of VAR. The point of VAR is to go and deal with the really big mistakes and to limit those and to lower the amount of game-changing mistakes overall. And I think most people, because it's the World Cup, they're on board with that. Now, if you're talking a league program and the humdrum of a mid-table side, and spending 2 minutes to determine whether somebody was offside or not, when in the end all that matters is whether Leicester finished 9th or 11th, maybe that's a different argument. But you know what? In a World Cup, I personally, so far so good, I think it's great. Bring it on.
Man, those are the topic of conversations in that dinner.
Yeah.
I don't want any part of that.
That was a long answer. That one, wasn't it? About VAR.
He didn't actually say what he ate at that dinner either, did he? He didn't actually say what was on the menu.
But VAR's working.
Well, it wasn't well done.
Working.
I don't like well done.
No,
Well,
he does
it's
not.
I don't like well done steaks. Listen, I haven't got time for more questions. I've got a segment to do for Kwesi in Africa. You guys are going home. I got to hang about.
You got to find Russian dinner to tuck into yourself, I'm sure. Before you do
I'll
that.
do well round here.
You do that?
I'll do well.
There probably are some, but not so far from here. You can see the edition of the show on ESPN Plus every day.